All right, 6 o'clock, let's call the meeting to order, and if you will all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, have all the directors had a chance to look at the agenda?
Yes.
I would take a motion.
I motion to approve this evening's agenda.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have an agenda. And on item number 3, the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Board President Wielander, other board directors, student representatives, community members, families, and staff. Off the bat, I would like to thank the Squaxin Island tribe for really helping us out getting students to school. We've been short on some routes out that way, and they have partnered with us to help transport some students recently. So that was really nice. It's really important, obviously, to get students to school, and they, as usual, have been an excellent partner of the district as we support our students. So thank you very much again to Squaxin Island. Very, very much appreciative. I thanked them in person on Monday when I met with them, so I was able to do that as a follow or preceding this particular event. It is hiring season for us, so we've been out interviewing a number of teacher candidates and hiring them into the district. We're beating out a lot of other districts. I know it's out there on beating the trail for the best educators that we can find, and so it's been really good. We were at the Tacoma Convention Center 3 weeks ago, had a booth there. There's booths from pretty much most districts across the state at this event. It's the big recruiting event. There's, hundreds and, actually probably a couple thousand worth of teacher candidates there, and so we talked to them, really looking for candidates that fit really our own belief system and that also are interested in coming to Shelton and really serving our students and appreciate the diversity of the students that we have here. So we worked through, did some interviews, and were able to pull in some really talented educators, not only for our gen ed classrooms, especially at the elementary level, which is mostly what we're hiring for, but we were able to find some secondary folks to encourage them to apply, and in particularly also special education teachers. My other announcement is that yesterday evening we had an interview committee come together, and we were interviewing for the principal position for OBJH, and we were able to select Marianne Marshall. So Marianne has been serving as the executive director for instruction for the district, and Marianne has elected to apply for this job, and she applied and interviewed for it yesterday, and we announced today that Marianne will now serve as the permanent principal of OBJH. She'll be in her interim role all the way until July 1, but then she'll start up in her permanent role in that capacity July 1 of this year. So please join me in congratulating Marianne Marshall. She's really excited about it. Another graduate of the Shelton School District, along with the assistant principal there, Paige, both graduates from here. Really excited to help lead that school in the right direction. We have one more position there. We're interviewing for a Dean of Students position, I believe tomorrow. And so that'll help round out their administrative team at OBJH. So I think that's really important to note. So I'm looking forward to that. And talking to staff, they really want some stability and leadership, and so do I. And I think that'll help both the families and the students and the staff the best by having someone just like Paige and Marianne who are committed to Shelton and serving our community. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. With no questions, I will move on to item number 4, community comments. As part of the regular school board meeting, the board welcomes community members to make public comment in person and/or by phone as conditions allow. If speaking in person, please follow the public comment procedure by signing your name and address at the podium when called by the board chair. If making comments by phone, please dial 1-253-215-8782 and enter the meeting ID 872-5618-1978. Each person is allowed 3 minutes to speak. In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, the board is not allowed to discuss items that are not on the agenda. The board will direct the superintendent to follow up on any items that arise during public comment as appropriate. The board requests that all speakers use civil and appropriate comments and refrain from disrupting the business of the board. We ask that you help us model for our students what a respectful and inclusive community looks and sounds like. Okay. First up will be Laura Lee Rogers.
Hi, I'm Laura Lynn Rogers from 229 Wyandotte, Chairman Wheelander and the Shelton School Board. I have addressed my concerns about transparency before, so I was surprised that a scheduled meeting for April 9th was canceled without any public announcement and no reason why the cancellation. This is a time that parents and the community have the opportunity to hear from you and to address their concerns. When you continue to exclude us from information, people will do their best to fill in the void with guesses. Though I would prefer to hear firsthand, the cone of silence forces us to ask for multiple public records requests that will be costly and time-consuming. Thank you for hearing my concern.
Thank you. Esther Castro.
Nervous as last time. My name is Esther Castro.
Can you move closer to the microphone? Thank you.
163 East Wilbur's Way. My question is, or concern, because I did not know about the transportation being cut, budget, whatever reasons. Is there a way we can know more about this stuff? It will affect all children, to my knowledge. Is there a way you guys can advocate for more transportation budget, or how does this work? Because it will affect all kids, to my knowledge. Apparently what are they? Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. The schools from each school apparently called the parents to advise or let them know about this cut, but I wasn't called. And like I told the principal, I said, could it be because my child or one of them is in special needs and it doesn't affect his particular bus, but it would have been nice to know or given a heads up because he's still part of the school and still part of a transportation transfer, all this stuff. So we asked to please revise the budget or do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Dean Jewett.
Dean Jewett, lifelong Mason County resident. Thank you for allowing me to be here. First thing I got to say is your guys' audio system sucks. So it's been sucking for, what, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? Do you not have an IT person that can actually fix it? Because if you don't, I can offer my services. But I would think that we would actually try to get on that, because you can't even hear anybody that comes up here and speaks. And you had a speaker that was trying to speak over Zoom, and you couldn't even hear them. Or is that just another ploy? You know, I'm not really good on coincidences. I don't think there's a lot of coincidences. So maybe it's on purpose. Or maybe we could take some of Wyeth Jesse's new salary, and then we could take that to fix the audio. That might be a good help. So another $28,000 increase on top of another increase for a gentleman that doesn't even, and I use the word gentleman loosely, doesn't even live in Mason County. There is an opening up in King County, up in Marysville and stuff that I'd love to write a letter of recommendation. Why do we have such turnover at OBJH? Is there something that we don't know? What's going on there? Seems to be that there's, you know, something that happens again. Is that a coincidence? We have more students coming out on our pedophile counselor. Where are we at with that? How come that was all covered up and hush hush? We won't know anything about that until it comes out in the journal. There's an email going around about paraeducators being cut. You remember 2 or 3 years ago when we added another 6 to 8 staff down at the district office to the tune of over $1 million. So what are they doing? Are they helping what's best for kids? Or is that what's best for the district office so the main person at the district office can get home with traffic? Like Lori Lynn Rogers had said, cancellation of a meeting with no notification. I actually had to call down to the district office and have somebody double, triple check to find out if it was canceled or not. That individual had to put me on hold. So when you go to look at a calendar and it just doesn't have something there, you don't just assume that the meeting's not there. Typically, it'll be grayed out, there'll be a line through it. Remember that Mr. Yuck sticker with the line through it with the frowny face? It lets you know that that's bad. Maybe there's something like that that shows you that the meeting was canceled. But maybe that's well above Wyeth's pay grade. I don't know, but have a good day.
Marilyn Aaron.
Hello, my name is Marilyn Aaron, and my address is on file. A few things I have to address tonight. Is our school district prepared for multiple opioid overdoses? While I hope this never happens, I've heard some scuttlebutt about an incident that took place at one of the schools, and I'm curious about our school's preparedness in the event that we have more than one student experiencing an opioid overdose at the same time. How much Narcan do we currently have on hand? And is there a protocol in place for situations where multiple doses might be needed simultaneously? And then I was glad to hear today that OMS attended an informational session on Narcan and how to administer it. Are similar training sessions planned for staff at other schools in the district? It would be helpful to receive an update on how many staff members were able to attend the session from OMS. In regards to public notification of canceled school board meetings, I was very disappointed to learn that the school board meeting scheduled for April 9th was canceled without any public notification. I literally found out about it maybe 2 hours before the meeting. Open communication, and that was on Facebook, by the way. Open communication and transparency are essential for a functioning school board. While regular meetings typically don't require public notice if held at the designated time and location according to board policy, cancellations should be communicated clearly. In the absence of a meeting, the public loses the opportunity to stay informed and potentially engage on important issues. To ensure compliance with best practices for open meetings, the board should consider these communication channels for meeting cancellations: posting on the district website, sharing updates on social media channels, sending emails to those that may be subscribed to receive school board updates. I don't even know if that exists, but it's a suggestion. This approach would keep the community informed regardless of the meeting type, regular or special. I urge you guys to review your communication procedures to address these concerns and promote transparency. Then let's talk about the selection of our head football coach. In the wake of recent events, it's crucial that our school board prioritizes safety when searching for a new coach. We need a coach who understands that true leadership involves prioritizing safety, not shortcuts. Our student athletes deserve a leader who understands that winning should never compromise their safety and well-being. The recent incident eroded trust with players, families, and the entire community. Regaining that trust requires a coach who fosters an open and safe environment, one where communication is paramount. This individual should be a strong advocate for established safety protocols and demonstrate a clear commitment to putting the health of our students first. Let's move forward by choosing a coach who prioritizes creating a positive and responsible athletic program, one where players are valued and nurtured, not just for their skills, but for their overall well-being. This is how we rebuild trust and ensure a successful season, both on and off the field.
Thank you. Is there anybody online or on the phone? Okay, thank you. Thank you for the comments. On to item number 5, reports and recognitions. 5.01, the student reps, and we'll start with Aiden Underberg over there with Cedar High School.
All right, so back on April 16th, our Envirothon team went to their competition in Squaxin and won due to no other team showing up, so that's good. On April 30th, our state testing begins with the ELA test for the 10th graders, and then throughout May we'll have more testing like math and science for our underclassmen. And then Thursday, May 30th from 4:30 to 6:30, we will be hosting our second and final Experience Cedar Project Showcase. And that's all.
Thank you. And Abigail Hurst from Shelton High School.
Smarter Balance testing has started for the sophomores. They are taking the test in their English classes currently. On the 30th, the junior class will take the Science Smarter Balance test. The Drama Club is putting on a Mean Girls play. This begins at the first show this Friday, along with shows on Saturday and May 3rd and 4th. Track is hosting the Shelton Invite this Saturday. ASB elections have began. Baseball, soccer, and golf are all doing very well. Amber V from FFA Regions for FCCLA Vice President and Lane Stoney District 3 FFA President. FFA is hosting their annual plant sale on May 3rd and 4th, and our leadership class is spreading positive words in many ways to help stay positive during the Smarter Balance testing.
Thank you. 5.02, the March 2024 Budget Status Report from Ms. Trogstad.
Good evening, President Welander and Shelton board members. I'm waiting for that. Thank you. Tonight, I am doing a combination. I'm going to do your March budget status and give you an update as to where we are in the process for beginning the 24-25 budget for this next year. Do I have to go that way? It's not working, Scott. Can you do it? This isn't working. Thank you. Okay, so we'll go through the March budget status first. General fund is $399,964.70 for March. We expected that to be low. We've been working side by side with Educational Service District 113 doing cash flow projections clear through August 31st. March has a low revenue, and we had some higher expenditures than we anticipated. So we knew this was coming about a month ago, so it's not a surprise to us. Capital projects funds is at $66,399.62. Debt service fund, of course, is collecting taxes to pay the bond on June 1st. So that is $1,415,883.68. Associated student body stays pretty steady throughout the year. They collect revenue and expenditures pretty even, $486,564.49. Transportation vehicle fund is just collecting interest until we hit August again, and it's at $306,830.79. We have all the scholarship funds, and their total is $248,363.53. I will be preparing the Drake Scholarship update for you. I have it on my desk to probably do tomorrow, and I'll get that out to you so you know how much you can issue for your Drake Scholarships. So if you don't have any questions on this, we'll move forward to the next step. Next chart is historical enrollment. We use this in current year as we're watching cash flow because it changes every month, and then we do it for budget too. Our current enrollment is the last column there. We are at 4,198 full-time average students right now for the year. That generates about $460,000 above budget because we budget very conservatively at 4,150 FTE. So for next year, we do a roll-up. We take our non-high districts that come in at different grade levels, and we take our current students and roll them up. That actual projection is 4,332 students, but once again, we will be budgeting at 4,150 just to make sure we're not over-projecting. Next slide, please. So I wanted to show you, some of you have seen this before, the state apportionment, the way we get payment, doesn't come in equally. We don't get all of our funds at the beginning of the year to use all year. They come in different percentages over the month, and your September through December amounts are based on that 4,150 students. So sometimes cash flow can be difficult during those times, plus we're applying for grants. And a lot of times, those don't get approved till October and November, so you're using your fund balance during that time, too, to cover the expenses for those. The payment does get adjusted in January, and then January through August, it fluctuates because your enrollment is still changing, so they go off the actuals for the average for the year. As you can see, the majority of our funds come in July and August. We get 22.5% just in those 2 months. The other months are smaller. Some months, like May next month, we only get 5%. So it's a constant change every month in how our funding comes in. Our grant reimbursements also, we have to use district funds for those expenditures every month, and then we wait at least 30 days. Sometimes you have to do budget revisions and wait for the state to approve those, so it can be even 60 to 90 days sometimes before we get that money back. You want to do the next one? I just talked about that, but there are certain things like child nutrition comes in from the state based on the claims every month on how many students, and on the federal dollars also. She submits how many students have had lunch and breakfast, and then that comes in the following month. You can go ahead on that one. So the next one is our budget timelines that we do. As you can see, we start in January, that our HR department sends out a retention survey to staff. That's to see who plans to retire or what they have going on. So that gives us an estimate on the movement we're going to have. Then also in January, I start working on enrollment projections. I pull all of our non-high districts' actual enrollment. I take our actual enrollment for the month and start that roll-up process to see where we're going to land, just so we have an idea if we need to adjust our 4,150. After that, we start digging into staffing. We take that enrollment projection and I allocate it out by grade level, by school, and we create budget sheets so we can tell how many staff we need at each location. Those get sent out, and then we have a meeting with each building and we go through their staffing allocations. We finalize that within a week after the meetings. Then we send out the final to them so they can start working on their master schedules and all of that. So that process has already happened for the year. Right now, we're deep into state and federal programs. We're starting to get some new allocations in for those. So we met today on it. We're meeting again tomorrow on it. We'll probably have another meeting by the end of the week to finalize all of those for our expenditures. The next piece also will be that we do department budgets. So we had to have the state and federal funds figured out before we can start allocating out to department budgets. So we'll use the same process for the departments. I'll create an initial budget proposal with allocation dollars and staffing in that. We'll send that out to the departments, and then about 2 weeks after that, we'll schedule our meetings with them and go through the same process with all of our departments. Some of the next steps then are, right now we just ran the revenue projections. That software from OSPI just came out, so I ran those yesterday actually. We did have some good news in a couple of funds. Our LAP dollars, our Learning Assistant Program, is increasing, And our state bilingual grant is also increasing, so that gives us a little more flexibility too. This time of year, you don't have specific charts on your revenue expenditure because it is changing daily, sometimes by the hour. But we're working on those constantly. My staff is inputting the staffing side, and I'm doing the rest of it and balancing it. We will continue to update you as we move forward. We're planning a June study session with you, and then, of course, in July at that board meeting, I'll do the full detail of what will be submitted to the ESD for the deadline on July 10th. So, do you have any questions?
Anybody have any questions?
I did. Just when I look back at the capital projects fund with about $66,000 in that, is that being kept in there for some of ongoing things with what happened with the bond, or what's going on with that at this point?
Well, we haven't closed out the high school project. That one is a little more complicated. CE&C actually went out of business, and we have a few final details to finalize with them, and quite honestly, their attorney and our attorney are working together to finalize that. So we communicate probably every 2 weeks on that, and we're getting very close. So there will be a final payment out of that for their final bill, but it's way less than that.
Okay.
And I think there are a few more like door locks and stuff that do need to be done at Shelton High School, but we're waiting for that to settle with CE&C first.
Okay.
So, yeah, and they don't like you to close those accounts out. I don't know, years ago, I only had $13 in it, and we kept it that way forever because it's quite a process to reopen a capital project fund, so you always want to leave it open.
I do
for
remember
future.
seeing that when I first,
Yeah.
I think, got on the board. There was the $13. That rings a bell now. And thank you for letting us know proactively about the Drake Scholarship, because that
Okay.
was going to be the other one.
Yes.
I'm hopeful that maybe we have a little bit more with the interest rates being higher.
Yeah, we've been collecting more interest this year, so you should have a little bit more.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions? The only thing I have is, from everything you can see, looks fine. I know that we're looking at, slimming down a couple of things here and there, but I'm also hearing from other school districts around the state that they're closing schools, and there's like the catastrophe and everything is going on.
Let me talk about that a little bit,
Where
because I just
are we?
realized I skipped a section on my sheet. We have been working on reductions in the current year because, as you know, we are hitting $3 million at year end on August 31st. So we have looked at every opening that comes open this year on staffing, and we look at it. Several people review it. Do we really need that position? Can we do without that position? Can we cut the number of days? Can we cut the number of hours? So clear across the district office, maintenance, the schools, transportation, food service, everyone is doing that same process. So that is helping us get to the $3 million this year. We will hit that on August 31st. What we've already been doing for next year, for 24-25, similar process. Is going through and, of course, allocating to the buildings. We did reduce 6 FTE and certificated staff based on enrollment and class size. And then we're doing the same thing clear through. We're looking at every expenditure, whether it's staffing or, our bills, our subscriptions to online software, that type of thing. We're looking at it all in detail, which is actually making us better prepared for future too, because we're lining everything out as to where every dollar is going. I can tell you all we're doing is using attrition for our cuts. Nobody's job has been cut or will be cut. We're not closing any schools. We are in a better place than a lot of the districts statewide. So we are going to hit $3 million, and that will give us a little more flexibility in our cash flow too for next year. So. Does that help? I'm glad you asked the question because I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to make sure, we're not headed for a water landing like a lot of
No.
other districts, and
No.
it sounds like everything's being done. So thank you.
Yes, I have to give Tabitha Whiting credit because it's great to work with her. We are like fine-tuned on the same page, and we're constantly looking at everything, so
Okay,
it's been good.
thank you. Super.
Okay. Is that it?
Oh, hey, Carla, are you there? Did you have any questions? Carla?
Doesn't
Oh,
look like she.
Doesn't look like it. Okay. 5.03, update on investing in effective education, educators and leaders.
Effective educators and leaders is what you're looking for. Good evening, board. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight a little bit about some of the work that is going on in human resources. So I'm going to talk a little bit, try this one more time and see if it'll work. Okay, so I'm going to be talking a little bit about the work that we're doing that's in alignment with the strategic plan, some of the issues and challenges that have been identified in the human resources world and what we're doing to address those, some of the other cool stuff that we're doing, and then open it up for questions for you guys. So investing in effective educators and leaders is part of our strategic plan, and this is directly out of that. So that initiative is that we are recruiting, hiring, and retaining caring, passionate, and skilled employees to support student success. And we know this is important because student success depends on those caring, passionate, and skilled employees who provide, can you guys hear me okay? Okay. Who provide quality teaching and meaningful student support. Effective educators and leaders are drawn to Shelton School District and want to be here to prepare students for their life after high school. So one of the challenges that we know about, because research supports, is late hires. Research tells us that teachers who are late hires are more likely to be less effective, and their students are more likely to have reduced academic outcomes. And that's really just a common sense component in a cyclic world like education, where people are resigning or freshly out of college looking for jobs. The good ones get hired first. They go through the interviews, they get selected, and then the longer you wait, those people that weren't chosen right away are continuing to apply for jobs. So you're not getting those really great candidates right out of the gate the longer you wait in the hiring process. So some of the actions that we're taking around that, I've been here for about 10 months and have done some of that work, but it's coming off the heels of some of the work that Ms. Linda Arndl was doing before I got here. And that was moving our hiring timeline up significantly. You heard Brenda talk about the timeline being moved up this year, and we did move it up even farther, but we made a pretty big shift last year in moving that timeline up to increase those quality candidates that were applying for our jobs. One of the other things that was introduced last year was the idea of hiring people into pools rather than specific positions. So we did a little bit of work in that area, not a whole lot. We took a much deeper dive into it this year, where we said, we took an educated guess, a conservative educated guess about how many openings we were going to have, and started hiring candidates to fill those open positions, anticipated open positions. So instead of being hired for a second grade teacher at Mountain View, you're being hired for a 1.0 teaching position in an elementary school with your placement to be determined. And that really has given us an opportunity to not have to wait for resignations or leave of absences, to really get ahead of that and get those good candidates right out of the gate. Another challenge that we've been addressing was our hiring platform. We know that 92% of people never finish online job applications due to barriers, including setting up an account, the number of steps that are required to apply for a job, and the length of time it takes to complete the application. I think when I completed my application to work here as a person that works in HR and works in these systems, it took me about 2 hours to do, which I completed because I really wanted to be here. But when we're talking about teachers that are fresh graduates and they have a lot of options to choose from, we have I think about 295 school districts in Washington State. We want to make sure that that process is as easy as possible for them so that they are not abandoning the application process halfway through. So what we did to address that is we started soliciting feedback from our hiring managers, from the HR team. What are you guys looking for? What do we need in our platform to make it be really successful? We talked to some other school districts. What are they using, and have they seen it be successful? And we landed on Red Rover, which is the current platform that we implemented. We didn't want to wait, so we went ahead and implemented that in March 1st of this year. And we've already seen it reduces the amount of time to apply to less than 5 minutes. An applicant doesn't have to create an account. They put in their email address. It sends them an email to log in from there so they don't have to remember a password. They upload their resume, and it uses artificial intelligence to populate the application for them, eliminating that redundancy of you've created this beautiful resume, and then you have to go type in all of that additional information into an application. Red Rover eliminates the need to do that. So what are we doing next? We are reviewing asynchronous interview options with Red Rover, which what that would look like is that the candidate is selected for an interview. We record the questions that are asked of them. They record their interview independently on their own time, and then the interview team on their own time gets to go in, watch that interview, and independently score, so the hiring manager can take all of that input and make a decision. That will do a lot of things. One, it can reduce groupthink. If you've ever sat on an interview team, you know sometimes you don't feel like it's a really easy place to speak up if you don't agree with what everybody else is saying about a candidate, so this eliminates that. It's more accessible to diverse populations. They don't have to drive in, they don't have to miss work, their current jobs in order to be able to apply. They don't have to miss college. So they're able to interview on their own time when it works for them, and then we're able to watch those on our own time when it's convenient for us. And then Red Rover is a newer platform, and they're working really closely with us to do a bunch of cool features and adding new things to it. So we're going to continue to work with them to see what they can offer. We'll train staff and continue to look at those new features to see what else we want to add for that platform. So another challenge that we've addressed is hiring the right candidate. So the average monetary cost of hiring the wrong person is about 30% of that employee's first year earnings, which is a lot of money. In addition to that, we know that the intangible cost of hiring the wrong person, reduced academic outcomes for students, negative impacts on cultures, reduced output from other staff who need to pick up their slack, an immense amount of resources from the Human Resources Department and supervisors to investigate allegations, to work through evaluation processes, to non-review those ineffective people in this building. So we want in this district. So we know that hiring the right candidate is a really important component of the hiring process, because if you hiring them fast isn't enough. You also have to get the right person in the door to keep them here and make sure that we're having those outcomes for students that we're looking for. So what are we doing to address that challenge? Right now, what we're doing in the short term is that directors and executive leadership have been fully involved in the interview process to help ensure that the best candidates are being hired for next year. I have sat on dozens of interviews this year, and it's to just be a part of that process to make sure that we're getting those right people in the door so that we're not working on personnel issues next year, and instead we're just focusing on student outcomes. Human Resources is making final job offers, and what that is doing for us is we're calling the candidate, we're telling them we're offering you the job, we're so excited to have you here, here's what your salary is going to be, let's talk about a start date, these are the requirements, so that that candidate has all the information that they need right up front to make a decision. Because what we were experiencing is that the hiring manager would offer a job, not sure about the benefits, not sure about the salary. By the time they got to us and we were giving them that information, they were sometimes declining the position based on that. And then we were left with people in that interview pool that had already taken other jobs, or we were having to go back out and start the process over. So we're kind of taking out that middleman to expedite that and making sure that candidates have what they need to make an informed decision about whether they want to accept a job or not. And then what's next? What are we going to be working on next year? Right now, we don't have set interview questions. Our hiring managers develop their own. So we're going to be developing set research-based interview questions for all positions. Updated reference forms. We're asking the right questions of the people that are doing the references to make sure that we, again, are hiring the right people. And supporting and training our hiring managers based on best practices aimed to increase choosing the best candidate. And then the last part of really the HR world is onboarding. So research tells us that 44% of teachers leave within their first 5 years of the profession and are 2.5 times more likely to quit than those that are tenured. And the reason that they cite that predominantly is a lack of support and guidance, and why they leave, because they feel like when they come on, they don't get what they need to be successful. So how are we addressing that as a district? So the onboarding process is being completely revamped. We want to make sure that when our teachers start and our other staff start, they have everything that they need to be successful. We're moving away from sitting in a room for 4 hours and having us talk at you about benefits and payroll and what all of that looks like. We are moving instead to orientation is going to be a teaching and learning focused day, and really getting people oriented to the way that we teach here in Shelton School District and our initiatives and what we're working on. And providing all of that pay and that nuts and bolts in a more streamlined electronic fashion, so that people aren't having to come in to do all of that really long, boring paperwork as well. And then we've hired mentor teachers. That happened before I came here, and it is something that I brag about every time we're at job fairs or when people ask about working here. It is the #1 question that I get asked at job fairs, is if we have a mentor program. And we know that not only does that get them in the door, that research shows us that it also keeps them here after they're here. So that's a really important program that we have, and it's been really successful. And then just a quick celebration with that Red Rover platform change. So I ran some quick numbers, and between February of 2020 and February of 24, it took about 34 days average from posting to hire somebody. So that's from the date that we posted the position to the date that we put in the system that they had accepted the position that they were offered. For the elementary postings that we've been doing since we moved to Red Rover, it's about 9 days. And there are people that are significantly shorter than that, are being offered interviews within 48 hours of applying, and then being offered a job within 24 hours of applying. So we've really shortened that timeline down to achieve a lot of those goals that we've outlined there. And then what else are we doing? Human Resources and the Finance Department have been working really collaboratively together, as Brenda pointed out. We are ensuring staffing and budgeting information is out early, and that it's accurate, and that it's in alignment with available resources and the strategic plan. We're also defining metrics, HR metrics, to ensure that our decisions are data-driven, research-based, and also in alignment with the strategic plan. We're working on updating a lot of antiquated processes and forms in our department, really trying to move away from all that slow, redundant paperwork, and streamlining things to an online pace to really expedite it and streamline it for all the end users that have to access those forms. And then we're working on the culture. Specifically, I'm working in our department, in the human resources world, in the central office culture. We've been providing monthly professional development around collaborative problem solving, which impacts not only the culture in our building, but we know that's a trickle-down effect, right? If the leaders in the central office are collaborative and teaming well together, we know that, that they are sharing what they're doing with the buildings, and that they are replicating what they're seeing. Any questions?
Are there any questions? Carla, do you have any questions? Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure Carla's there. Oh, there she is.
I had a question, so I'll just jump in. I was just curious, because I know we've talked about these hiring pools before, which is interesting to me. I'm curious about how candidates feel about that. I know we get a lot of people who aren't necessarily from Shelton, so maybe they don't have their heart set on working at a specific elementary school. But
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
No?
I'm not sure Carla's there.
Okay, you can't hear
there's a
me.
big delay. We'll let her. Oh.
I was just curious.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a really big delay for her audio. Yeah.
She's still in the presentation.
Okay, Carla didn't have any questions.
So you're curious how candidates are responding to being offered just a teaching position in general rather than a specific location?
Yes.
Actually, and I've got that question a lot from hiring managers. It was a worry they had, and they've been really receptive. We've hired actually quite a few people from Shelton that are either doing their student teaching here and or are from here and are really excited about being here and don't actually care where they land. They just want to be here. We have a couple really seasoned teachers that have moved here in the past several years and have worked in other districts, but really want to give back to their community that they live in and work here and are open to doing that wherever that need is. And we've also solicited feedback from them. Do you have a preference? Do you have a grade bandwidth that you really would love to be in over another? And when we start making those placements, we will definitely take those into consideration as we work with the buildings to determine the best fit for people.
Okay, thank you.
I don't really have any questions, but super excited to see how this paradigm shift is leading to a culture shift, which again will lead to positive student outcomes down the road. Thank you. It's very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to 5.04, recognition of the district's administrative professionals.
Great. It's that time of the year to really celebrate our administrative professionals. Those are the folks that are in the front office and sometimes truly behind the scenes. If you know the work they do, it's so critical. They are the ones that pick up the phone and pretty much can answer almost any question they know. And if they don't know it, they know who to send you to. And you know, I know along my career, there's been so many times where, you know, as educators, you really do lean on these folks because they're able to fill in the gap. They can help replace something when something needs to get done. Could you go stand out there? Could you receive this information? Could you get back to this person? Could you schedule something? Could you run out and get this errand done? There's a lot of things that administrative professionals do that just not codified. They're just not in writing. And that's exactly who these people are. They have a lot of pride in what they do and making sure that a school runs well and a district runs well. And so I think we are extremely lucky here in the Shelton School District. Every time I go out to the schools or I'm talking with different departments, our administrative professionals do meet you with a smile. They really do want to help you. And they're always ready to pitch in, as I've mentioned before. And so there's some of them up on the screen here across the district, and I think I would really like it if everybody just joined me in recognizing their efforts. Tomorrow is the official Administrative Professionals Day, so if anybody's paying attention, even if you just send a quick note or email or even a quick phone call, just call the school. You know who's going to pick up. It's going to be them. And just reach out and just say thank you so much for what you do. I think it would really make their day and go a long way of giving our appreciation and gratitude for all of what our administrative professionals do. So from me to them, and I think for the rest of our community, thank you so much for our administrative professionals and all they do. No.
Thank you. I would also add to that, the administrative professionals all the way back to even when I was in school, they're kind of the firefighters of the school district. And when you have no idea what to do, you don't know who to talk to. It might even be something as silly as getting a Band-Aid when you're a kid. It's that front office staff is going to be that first catch. And every school that I've been to in this district has been outstanding. So thank you to all of those people. Item number 6, the consent agenda. Has everybody had a chance to read it?
I've read it, and I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the consent agenda passes. Somebody's got a hot mic. Item number 7, discussion and action items. This will be a proposed request to declare technology items as surplus.
In your board packet, you have a list of some very old and used technology equipment that has seen its better days. We go through and we clean it all up before we declare it surplus. I think I have 6 pallets shrink wrapped right now of it down there that we need to get out. But if you will declare it surplus, I then post it to the ESD out to the other school districts, and then after 30 days, we'll transport over to the state surplus. And amazing enough, we usually get a couple $100 out of it after it goes there. So I would request that you declare the technology item surplus this evening.
Do we have a motion?
I motion to approve the proposed request to declare technology items as surplus.
I looked at that list. It was a lot of Dell computer monitors and old Dell computers. So yes, I will, what's that? And Gateway, yeah. Some old ones, but maybe somebody wants to tinker around with that. So yes, I will second your motion on that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's surplus. Moving on to item number 8, board member comments. I know she's having some connectivity problems, but I will start with Carla. And, oh, it's that far behind? Oh. All right, Director Gilmore.
I would just like to thank everyone for coming here tonight and joining us, and also recognize our administrative professionals. I like your idea for tomorrow, so thank you, everybody.
Director Davison.
All right, thank you. And thank you for those of you that did join us here tonight and made public comment. I too want to thank the administrative professionals. With 2 daughters in school, I am constantly giving them a call or emailing somebody, and I have for all the years that they've been in school, and we've always had amazing frontline administrative professionals who, like Matt said, they can really help you with some of the most amazing requests when maybe your child is in an emergency for whatever reason. So really appreciate our administrative professionals. I do want to put a plug in for the Drake Scholarship. That should be going out to the high school to get applications, and I believe that the window of that's going to be about 2 weeks for kids to be able to send in an application for the Drake Scholarship so that we can announce those when there's the senior awards night, which I believe might be May 16th, but don't quote me on that. I do appreciate really hearing about our strategic plan in action with the teacher hiring. We've talked about that, and it seems like it just keeps getting better each year. And that is really exciting because these are the kids these are the people that are coming in contact and helping shape and grow and develop our children. So I'm really happy to hear that that process has been moved up from where it used to be quite significantly. As for school board professional development, there is a regional meeting that's coming up in Rainier, and I know 3 of us have registered for that so far, but there still is time, so if anybody would like on our school board, you can reach out to Allison, and she can actually help sign anybody up for that. Oh, and going back to the Drake Scholarship, if there are other school board members, I know there's several that have mentioned that they would like to help out, but if anybody who's not here tonight would like to help out with the Drake Scholarship, please let me know. That's on the school board. And then for Superintendent Jesse, I just want to say thank you for continuing to give us robust Friday reports on different things that are going on in the school district. That does help just keep us informed. I had recently had a question on AI and the use of that in school, if any of our technology classes were looking at that, because I know even in my own employment, we're being asked to train on that and get used to that and have experience with it. So it was a question that I had, and it was nice to hear from different people that you had reached out in the school to just hear about updates on things like that. So thank you very much. And then I just wanted to maybe put in a plug for some information for another time, but it sounds like, I don't know if that partnership with Evergreen has actually gone through as far as college, a pathway for college for our students specifically. And then I also, just in getting the high school principals updates and looking, specifically at, it looks like there's even 5 or 6 other schools that if you get a certain GPA, and I don't know if that's for specific students or if that's anybody in the Shelton School District. So I wanted to get a little bit more information on that. It's on the top of my mind with people graduating here pretty soon, and it's been exciting hearing about people heading off to college or trade schools or whatever they're looking at, but I would love to just have a better understanding of maybe what our partnership is with some of our state colleges and what those opportunities are for our students, if you get a chance. And that's it.
Don't have a whole lot. I was excited to read in the personnel report, I think it was 10 new elementary school teachers. That's huge. We're normally still scratching around trying to find them about now. I was excited to hear that Marianne rolled that OBJH spot into a full-time permanent position. Anybody I've talked to said that she's doing a great job down there. Scholarship season again, and it isn't just the Drake Scholarship. There's other stuff coming out. So if you have any kids out there that are looking into scholarships, make sure they check with the front office there at the high school. Again, the administrative professionals will be able to point them in the right direction and make sure that's all taken care of. And yeah, that's really all I got tonight. Moving into item number 9, we do have a grievance hearing, and we'll be going to an exempt session for that.